December 2nd, 2022, a stealth bomber emerges from a giant hangar at Plant 42, and the Air Force only lets you see part of it. Controlled angles, restricted views, new B-2 headlines wrote themselves. But what rolled out that night was built for the hardest missions in the Air Force inventory. Through defenses, no current bomber is expected to survive. And its most critical advantage isn't something you can see. Floodlights lit the concrete outside Plant 42 long before the doors moved. On December 2nd, 2022, Air Force Honor Guards, senior officers, and Northrop Grumman engineers lined the perimeter, their faces visible in the cold California night. The hangar doors parted with mechanical precision, revealing the B-21's sharp, triangular outline as it sat motionless on a low-slung transporter. Only the forward section and a portion of the wing were exposed, with no engines, no landing gear, and no hint of what lay beneath the skin. Cameras captured the nose-down angle, the Northrop logo on the fuselage, and the matte gray surface that seemed to swallow the light. The ceremony followed a strict script. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke about the need to maintain America's strategic edge. Acting Secretary of the Air Force, Matthew Donovan, addressed the crowd, describing the aircraft as a tool for deterrence and global reach. Northrop Grumman's leadership referenced 3 decades of stealth experience, connecting the new bomber to a legacy of secret projects and operational breakthroughs. Every detail of the event was managed. The audience of roughly 600 included Air Force brass, defense officials, and select employees, but the public's view remained limited to what the Air Force allowed. No weapons bays, no engine inlets, and no internal components were visible. The rollout was streamed live, but only from approved angles. High-resolution stills released that night showed the B-21 from a fixed vantage, reinforcing the message that while the bomber had stepped into the open, much about it would remain hidden. For the AIR Force, this was not just about spectacle. The controlled reveal was a signal. The program was real, the bomber existed, and it was built for missions where survival depends on what cannot be seen. Within hours of the B-21's rollout, headlines across major news sites settled on a single phrase: the new B-2. The flying wing silhouette, unmistakable even in limited photographs, triggered instant recognition. Social media feeds filled with side-by-side images, with hashtags such as #NextGenStealth trending, and commentators reached for familiar language, calling it the B-2's heir, the sequel, or simply the future of American air power. Defense blogs and mainstream outlets echoed this shorthand, linking the B-21's angular profile to the legacy of the Spirit. The narrative gained momentum not because of technical briefings, but because the visual connection was impossible to ignore. Public perception quickly hardened. The aircraft's partial unveiling, with its matte gray skin and smooth continuous curves, left little room for alternative interpretations. To most viewers, the logic was straightforward. If it looks like a B-2, and it rolls out of Northrop's hangar under tight security, it must be the next B-2. Some headlines even skipped the Raider name entirely, referring to it as the new stealth bomber or America's latest flying wing. This immediate framing shaped expectations before any facts about mission, performance, or technology reached the public. The media's focus on appearance set a high bar for the AIR Force, raising questions about whether the new bomber would truly surpass its predecessor or simply echo its silhouette. As speculation swirled, the stakes grew. The B-21 would have to prove that its resemblance to the B-2 was more than skin deep. Inside Plant 42, secrecy was not just a matter of tradition, it was a calculated strategy. Northrop Grumman's communications team choreographed every detail, from the timing of social media teasers to the precise placement of security fencing along the perimeter. Days before the rollout, Northrop's official Twitter account hinted at the impending event, fueling speculation without revealing specifics. On December 2, 2022, synchronized posts appeared across platforms at the exact moment the hangar doors began to open, ensuring that the first public glimpse of the B-21 was tightly coordinated and impossible to miss. The hangar itself became a symbol of this controlled narrative. Its massive doors shielded the airframe until the last possible second, and even then, only approved camera angles were permitted. The live stream offered a single vantage point, carefully chosen to show the bomber's distinctive nose and forward wing while keeping sensitive features hidden. On site, security teams enforced a strict boundary, blocking any attempt at unauthorized photography or alternate views. The message was clear. What the public saw was only what the Air Force and Northrop wanted them to see. This approach did more than protect classified technology. By limiting exposure, the rollout turned restriction into a form of storytelling. The curtain of secrecy became part of the bomber's mystique, setting the stage for a bigger test, the moment when the B-21 would finally leave the ground. Until then, every detail, from the hangar's imposing presence to the orchestrated online campaign, served to build anticipation for proof that the aircraft was more than just a silhouette. At 1:14 p.m. Pacific Time on November 10, 2023, the B-21 Raider lifted off from the runway at Plant 42, breaking free from years of secrecy. The flight plan, filed as UAA 331 B-21, showed a direct route north to Edwards Air Force Base. For 1 hour and 22 minutes, the new bomber climbed to 31,000 feet, trailed closely by an F-16 from the 20th Fighter Wing. The chase pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Fisher, reported smooth handling and nominal systems throughout the sortie. This was not a ceremonial lap. It was a shakedown flight designed to prove that the aircraft's avionics, flight controls, and stealth skin functioned together in real airspace. Engineers and test pilots at Edwards Air Force Base watched every data point in real time. The 412th Test Wing, known for validating America's most advanced aircraft, coordinated telemetry, safety, and post-flight inspections. Their job was to confirm that the B-21 could operate as a true flying prototype, not just a static display. When the Raider touched down at Edwards, Air Force Deputy Chief of Staff General LeCompte stated that the bomber had met all initial objectives. Northrop Grumman's spokesperson emphasized that the flight validated the integrated avionics suite and the aircraft's low observable design. No internal systems or classified details were revealed to the public, but the flight proved a simple fact. The B-21 is not just a concept or a model. It is a working bomber designed to handle the most demanding missions in the Air Force inventory. The test community at Edwards now had a new asset to push further, setting the stage for missions where survivability, adaptability, and range are not optional, they are the point. The B-21's mission is defined by what the Air Force calls the hardest problem in modern air power, reaching and striking targets protected by dense, integrated air defense systems. These are not routine flights or ceremonial displays. The bomber is built for scenarios where adversaries deploy advanced radars, long-range missiles, and networked defenses designed to keep even the most capable aircraft out. The B-21 is expected to cross continents, evade detection, and deliver either conventional or nuclear weapons deep inside contested territory. This dual-capable role, able to switch between nuclear deterrence and precision conventional strike, anchors the aircraft at the core of U.S. strategy. The Air Force describes these as extreme missions not because of dramatic visuals, but because survivability, adaptability, and global reach are non-negotiable. The B-21's design, including its open architecture systems, ensures it can keep pace as threats evolve. It is more than just a new airframe. It is a platform built to adapt for decades. The B-21 is not a limited prototype or a one-off demonstration. Air Force acquisition leaders have set a baseline goal of at least 100 bombers, with congressional briefings and official statements reinforcing this as the minimum needed for credible long-range strike. The program is structured to deliver a full operational fleet, with Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota named as the first main operating base and formal training unit. The ramp up to operational squadrons at Ellsworth is scheduled for 2027, marking the transition from test flights to active deterrence. Unlike earlier bombers, the B-21 is designed with open system architecture, allowing new sensors, weapons, and software to be integrated throughout its service life. This approach lowers long-term costs compared to the B-2 and ensures the fleet can keep pace with changing threats. The Raider's future is measured not just in units produced, but in its ability to remain relevant as the backbone of America's bomber force for decades. Today, the B-21 stands as the Air Force's answer to threats no other bomber can touch, built for missions where survival and reach decide everything. Its greatest asset isn't what we see, but how it keeps evolving as new defenses rise. The future of deterrence remains unfinished and deeply classified.